Send. Bam! There we go. Hello, I'm on here. Time for the classic all animes, huge amount of animes, right? For the winter season 2024. So, like I was earlier, yesterday, I got a new PC. Just installed everything yesterday. So maybe the voice, maybe I have to, so leave a comment, especially now in the live chat, if I should like increase the volume for the microphone or whatever, right? Because yeah, I mean, I think it sounds pretty good now, but obviously it's trying to sort it out, right, for the PC and so on. And one thing I think is kind of interesting, this PC here, of course, like more or less the best you can buy, right, for money. No, but it's quite expensive, and it's probably too good at this. So the stream should work really well, I hope, obviously, with a new PC, right? But you have to control the frame rate and all this stuff, right? So this actually might be sending too much data per second. Regardless, guys, I'm hoping you guys set it for new animes. Of course, we're gonna make the top 10 and so on, right, for this year. And tomorrow we're gonna do something similar with video games. I think we'll go and look at some of the best games coming next year, right? I can say immediately that there's a couple of games I am excited for, right? So, yes, there are a few games, but as always, with video games, it is much more, I feel anime, all these animes, right? I feel much more confident in saying that, oh, this is a good anime, Jitsuryoku, this will be good or whatever. Like, for example, we had Jitsuryoku Season 3 announced 2 days ago. Of course, it won't air this season, but it's like, it's gonna be pretty good, right? It's very likely to be good. With video games, I have to say, it's like, it's way more up in air, right? You don't know exactly until you kind of like get into a good video game, whatever. Yeah, it's a little bit different, right? Very rarely do I actually feel confident in video games, I have to admit. It's a little bit tragic, right? You're like, oh yeah, it's like, this is probably a good game. Now, anime is a lot easier. And also, because it's a TV team, we have all this per season, right? But anyway, so on that note then, right, we're gonna talk about anime, and as I said, right, I feel quite confident, honestly, in my adaptation of animes. I felt I almost never been wrong on this, seriously. I've done this for a few years now, right? Talking about different animes. Once per season like this. And I feel I've almost been spot on every time, more or less. There's been a few animes that I didn't know about. But it's pretty easy, so there's a couple of different hints. I'll talk about this briefly here. But there's a couple of hints you can tell this is going to be good anime. For example, we have this new anime coming later. That one, Bones, going to be later in the list. That anime, Metallic Rogue, is like an original anime. That's one step a good way to say this is probably gonna be a better anime than most other animes, because original animes, I say it every year, right? But original animes are usually much better because they don't have to follow any manga, right? Any light novel. They don't have to follow anything that makes it, it has to be this much chapters and so on. And even if, for example, you have light novels, which might be a little more frisky with, right? Or you have what's called the digital mangas or whatever. All of those shows, right? And also, of course, gaming. They have different things, like you have to have this about the pacing and so on, right? So original animes are almost always, I would say, better, right? Not saying they're best animes, but they usually are much better when it comes to production and pacing and so on. Because obviously they're made purely to be animes, right? So I'm always excited for original animes, the most, honestly, I feel. Except that they are of course, oh god, this anime is coming back. But I mean, usually, because they usually deliver a lot more, right? There's one way to kind of feel, okay, this is probably gonna be a good anime. I'm gonna see one thing before we get into the list here. Because I'm using let's see, where's the button? Not that button. Way too much stuff here. That button. You see, this works. Yes. Yeah, commercial, yeah, that works. Sorry, yeah. Just so it works correctly, right? Bam. Looks good. Okay, so the way we're gonna do it, as every year, so is we're gonna look at anime by popularity, guys. So we're gonna sort it, and we're gonna go down, right, from the most popular animes to the least popular animes, I guess. Which also means that obviously the preview will be shorter the further we go, right? Because eventually we get down to more or less interesting animes. Maybe if I rest a bit up here though. Yeah, it's better than read like that, right? Actually could be pretty big actually. Yeah, that's better. So here we go. First of all, then we got Frieden. Oh yeah, and of course we're gonna skip the animes that already are airing, right? Talk about Frieden, but I can give them a brief. Let's give a very brief review then. Not update. Frieden is definitely one of the best animes this season, though, or I mean the fall season. Very highly rated here, but I do feel it's a little bit up and down though. I think this episode, honestly, where it's like half the episode is really interesting, but the whole gorilla thing, and the other half was like, it wasn't that good. So I think the anime is, it massively reminds me of whatever Kino's Journey, Elena the Witch, or whatever. Right? It's very much like a weekly thing. There was one arc with the demons, but more or less, this anime, especially now, the last 5-6 episodes, have turned into like, we go to a city or a village and something happens and then we leave. Right? It's like a very much the weekly thing happening. And because of that reason, I think the anime is good, but it does feel very uneven to me, where one episode can be really, really good. Next episode is like, yeah, it's okay, yeah. Like next episode is like mid. So I think it's a good anime, but I do think honestly it is overrated because it's a very inconsistent level of anime, and I think it is, like I said, mostly because of how it's very much like the weekly thing happening, the weekly monster, the weekly city, whatever. Right? And also the problem with anime is exactly like Elena, so one is that if the author wants to tell a story, right? The author is like, okay, but now we're at the volcano village, and I want to tell this story. Suddenly, Frieden's powers at work or whatever. Yeah, so it's very much like the anime is very much written to be like what the author wants to tell, and so it's quite the character has changed. Right? But anyway, let's go on. Obviously, it's an ongoing anime. So then we get the Solo level, which is Solo leveling or Solo level. It's probably the biggest hyped anime this season, right? Probably the best new anime coming. So I have to say one thing here first and foremost, though. Honestly, this is the anime that I think is gonna be, like I said, the most popular anime so far, right? But this is a warning if you haven't watched this video now, and you're a streamer or whatever. This anime is notoriously copyright issues. Okay, I know a lot of people that have issues doing the manhwa dance based on a manhwa from Korea, so Korea, not manga. I know a lot of people getting copyright issues, strikes and so on, right, for this manhwa. So I don't know, honestly. I will do this anime. Like I said, it's probably the best new anime. It's like this magical gaze coming on Earth, right? The main character is weak, but then he gets some new power, finds like a secret dungeon. It's like cool leveling up, obviously, and so on, right? And it feels like a typical shonen action adventure anime, and it looks really great. But honestly, I'm a little bit like, I'm gonna do the reaction review and so on, right? And of course, check it out. But I might stop doing it, honestly, because I would not be surprised if a lot of people get issues for this anime. And there is something with manhwas, okay? Like straight seriously, manhwas are, I think, much more notoriously. Actually, yeah, like animes, of course, has a lot of copyright issues, right? But manhwas are in particular worse with that, and the most, of course, like actual image of the manhwa itself, right? Like the actual, like the manga, so to speak, yeah, not the anime, even worse. So I have to say that though. So it's a little bit like a worry bit here, but I'm gonna mention it. One bit obviously going on forever. The Kumi, yeah, but I would say this thing though. I do. The manga this week was really good. Yeah, the manga is back to like the main present time, but I don't spoil, of course. But it was a good chapter this week. See going. So it's the third season of Elite Classroom. Also probably one of the more popular anime season, right? How to explain this anime? Basically, it's like everyone's a genius, right? It's like the genius battle, and they try to trick each other and lie and so on, right? It's the third season, so if you probably know about it, let's keep going. Not so interesting. And then we get Isekai, right? With my crying aqua shirt. Yeah, we got Isekai season, right? And you know what I'm talking about. I always think it's funny that every season we got like 500 Isekais. Let's open this like blue monster here. It's an aqua. Look at this, like an aqua colored Isekai. This why I have this monster. Yeah, it's like an aqua monster. And it's on purpose, guys. Okay. It's almost like 10 Isekais, right, per season. Now, of course, I have reacted and reviewed Moonlight Fantasy Season 1. And it's a pretty good Isekai. You know, he gets like a dragon. Where is she? There she is. Yeah, he gets like a dragon wife and so on, right? It's pretty hot. No, but you know, it's a pretty good anime. But I would say this thing: Moonlight Fantasy. It is not like the best isekai ever, right? It's no Konosuba, obviously. Konosuba is coming next season after this. It's coming in the spring season. It's no Mushoku Tensei or whatever, right? So it isn't the best isekai I've seen in my life, and I've seen, you know, all of them basically. But somewhere up there is like, it's better than mid. It's like an 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, something like that. So I'm gonna watch it. You know, the first season was pretty good, but like I said, it's not like my favorite isekai. It's not honestly, it's not in my top 10, right? But it's also not in the bottom 10. So it's somewhere like, you know, slightly, yeah, it's like a 7 out of 10 or something. So I would say, yeah, it's pretty good, but it's not like amazing, honestly. And he basically got like a spider and dragon waifu, right? And then they do his adventure, and he beats like a city, and everyone finds him very unattractive, right? Yeah, that didn't work. I guess I would mostly compare it to Slime, probably, of the more famous isekais. Yeah, Rimaru. Yeah, I think so. I think it's fair to say that it's mostly similar to probably I Was Reborn as a Slime. That's probably the closest isekai to this show. But Slime is better. That's what I mean, right? Not to be like a hater, because I did like the one, you know, not to be a hater. I think it's pretty good, but I think Slime is better, you know. But Slime is also one of the best guys, but still. But yeah, Slime is like top tier, right? This is kind of like yeah. If Slime is like S tier, it's like A tier, right? But anyway, MASHLE is like Harry Potter. It was muscular. I've seen the first season. I started reacting to it in the beginning, but it wasn't like super good. Same thing with MASHLE. I think it's like a pretty good anime. I like the ending, the great song and so on. But basically, it's literally Hogwarts, right? He's going to Hogwarts, but instead of being, he looks like Harry Potter, yeah, but he's like muscular. He's just like, he uses his muscles to do stuff, right? He can use to destroy enemies. Like he can use the dragon. He can just take it down by flexing his muscle, basically. Right? He's like, oh yeah, and he's beast dragon with punch, right? So I think it's accurate to say here. It's called gag humor, comedy, yeah, parody. It basically is like a, but I really do feel it is a Harry Potter parody. It's much more, I would say, parodying actually Western stuff, actually, than Japanese stuff. Especially because they even have like Quidditch and so on. It's incredibly similar to Harry Potter, the first season. It does get less and less Harry Potter-ish, I think, the further it goes. But honestly, it's like an anime Harry Potter parody. That's like the way I would. But yeah, and the guy is like Asta from the Claw, right? But it's a pretty good show again, but not like my favorite. Ongoing show, another ongoing show. Obviously, Unlock on the ongoing show. Here we go, though. Daggers of My Heart. This is a cute show. Did I put the image? This one? No, it's the wrong one. Here we go. Yeah. Tall, good, eats a lot of ice cream. No, so this is an anime that I watched every week and was very much enjoying it, seriously. Daggers of My Heart. It's a really good comedy. Rom-com, of course, I guess, mostly. But I actually didn't like react and review to it. I don't remember why, but I was watching it every week and really enjoying it. So I think it's one of the best comedies this year, right? And yeah, I don't remember now when it was airing, but obviously it's a pretty new anime actually. Like it was airing this year, right? I mean, it still is 23 now. When did it air? Like 2 seasons ago? 6 months ago? Whatever, I digress. But it's a nice comedy about, well, no, I wouldn't say it's super original in the actual premise though. It's basically is that the main character, right? He's like a very short, tiny guy. He's like, I don't know, 5 feet, but he's like super tiny, right? He's a Smurf, 3 apples high. And then of course the lady is like, 2 meter, like 7 feet or something. Yeah, she's like a giant, right? And obviously they have some kind of weird, romantic comedy situations, right? And yeah, they're very, very different in size at least. But there are many animes like this though. It's this premise of like one very tall person and one very short person is always a pretty common. Especially I think this situation where the woman is much taller. It's actually probably the much more common situation I think in anime and so on. But him as a main character interesting because he's basically very negative and that's like he kind of hates everything, right? And he's in the beginning he's like, oh, I hate her, you know. So it does have a little bit different feel to it though, because like I said, the actual like basic premise of super tall woman, super short guy, and so on, that's been done method before, right? But he actually hates her because he doesn't actually hate her, but he's just like, oh, no, I don't want to have friendship. Oh, stop being my friend. So it is a really funny anime. I think it is one of the best comedies this year, definitely. And yeah, very early to here, but it is really good. I recommend definitely. And then we got plot anime. So this is I Was Banished from the Hero Party. This anime I think was like a dark horse in my opinion. I really like this anime. I think it was one of the best animes 2 years ago maybe. That season was airing. It's like a really good anime, and I don't think that anyone else, I can't remember anyone else like reacting or reviewing this anime, but I did at least. And first of all, very important to say here, this anime's plot is like crazy. Like it straight up had probably the best like onsen and other like fan service scenes that year. Like it was a crazy plot, okay? For some reason this anime has this like incredibly weird plot things constantly every episode. But not in the way that is like, how do I explain it? It is not like it is not like frequent, okay? It's not one of those shows where it's like a fan service moment every second. It's like fan service, and it's not like that at all, okay? Some shows are very frequent, right, in fan service or plot or whatever. This anime doesn't happen, but it does plot though. From episode 5, when we see the elf then, which was voiced by Ayasora, when she's doing, when they're at the onsen, right? It is incredibly plot. The plot is like, oh my god. It's like, again, it's like the best onsen episode of that year. So Banished Hero has incredible plot, like seriously. And honestly, I feel surprised that I was like the only person on YouTube even mentioned that, because this show was completely under the radar, especially in that topic that is plot, that is ecchi, all stuff is crazy in this anime. And basically every episode has a little bit of like, you know, plot then, right? But it's incredibly visual. But it's like only for a short moment usually. But the onsen episode is like the whole episode. So the episode is crazy. But there's some other scenes too, right? But basically the storyline is the main character, he's kicked off the hero party, and then he I don't know, he kind of retires, right? So we see this kind of premise many times too, where the main character is super powerful, you know, the OP, right? Kind of OP isekai kind of feel to it. But he's just like, I don't want to fight anymore. I just want to be a farmer. Right? I just want to chill out. And then this princess is like, oh no, but if he's gonna be a farmer, I also want to be a farmer. She kind of like, let me help you be a farmer or something. So they kind of just live together and run like an, I don't know, like a medical, I don't know, they make medicine or something and farm or something, yeah. Potions, yeah. He's like a potion guy or something. So that's kind of what the actual plot is. But the thing is that this premise is pretty common these days in animes, right? To have like, oh, I'm just gonna AFK over here. But this anime is like actually quite more action-packed too. So honestly, I think this is one of the best shows this season, because I think this is one is, again, very under the radar, very good show actually, and because most of those shows, they kind of retain that obvious running like a farm or something, right? But this anime doesn't do it at all. This anime is like, he's turned into like a super action show almost immediately anyway. So yeah, it doesn't really follow that typical like she'll lie. No, not at all. Like it's just crazy. So it's actually, I think it's very underrated. Most people didn't watch it more than one episode. Like it isn't Slice of Life. It just appears Slice of Life, but I wouldn't say it is that. It actually isn't that. It sounds like to be that genre, but it isn't. Like there's very little of it. So I don't know. And his sister is the hero and so on. Anyway, then we got isekais. I was like, where's my aqua shirt? Oh yeah, time for my isekais. Another isekai. This is probably the best new isekai. Yeah, so he got bad powers, you know, but it sounds like Alfarata, you know, he was abandoned. Honestly, I mean, I do find it kind of hard to be excited these days, right, for these animes. I think more people agree with me that isekai is a great genre, it's hilarious, it's fun and so on, right? But I think it's hard to be excited because you're like, oh, but now I look at this premise, I look at the trailer, right, it's a light novel, I just can't tell it apart from like Arifurata or whatever. It sounds almost like the same. Like he gets some power, isn't very good. He gets bullied, and they abandon him, and now he's alone or something. But he means like a vampire or something. You know what I mean? And now him and the vampire or saving the planet. I don't know. Like it sounds incredibly similar. I'm not saying the anime is bad. I'm just saying that it's so hard, honestly, as an anime only, having not read the light novel, to be able to distinguish if this anime is gonna be, like Mushenshi, or is it gonna be like, I don't know, I was the 8th magician's noble son or something. Is it gonna be, is the guy trash, or is it gonna be amazing? I feel it's so impossible to tell these days. Look at it, distracted by a dragon. It's so hard to tell these days, because this is like the 25th anime I have seen that has this premise, basically, with like a minor little difference, right? So it might be amazing, but it also might be utter isekai trash. It's very hard to tell these days, and I honestly find it frustrating, because it's like, well, what can you do these days? Anyway, I digress. So this is interesting, okay? Blue Exorcist. This is actually, I think, very interesting. Let's put it up here, yeah. So, wait, this is, sorry about that. Yeah, blaming new PC here. Let's put that better. So Blue Exorcist, I find it very interesting, because of course I have seen this anime, right? This is the third season coming now. I've seen the anime. I have, of course, read the manga as well, right? So let me explain, or not explain it, but Blue Exorcist was a pretty popular shonen anime, action comedy anime, right? One Piece, whatever, right? Black Clover, so yeah. About the son of Satan, I guess. That's how you can define it, right? Too much spoilers here. And it has 2 seasons. It actually was pretty popular, I think, when it was airing many years ago. And then it stopped airing, right? But I kind of liked it. So I read the manga back in the days. So I'm not up to date with the current manga, because I haven't read it, let's say, in like 5 years or 3. I don't remember when I read it, but like I haven't read it in a few years, right? But I have read I read every chapter after it's finished for a few years. So maybe I'm like 2-3 years after the manga, whatever. Get my point. I know, obviously, this season coming, I probably read the whole manga. Very likely. I've been very surprised that anime is gonna, be longer, right, than chapters I've read. So it's interesting, because I do think it's a very good. I think it's a pretty good shonen anime. It's not the best shonen anime, I think One Piece is better or whatever. Yeah. It's not Naruto is better. I don't think it is the best shonen anime. Yeah, there is a being castle and so on, but it is pretty good. However, and this is a big however, and I'm not gonna spoil here at all, but there is this very long flashback about their, let's say, like about someone else, about another character, which starts quite a bit into the manga. So I don't know if the anime will even get that far. Let's say it's like 100 chapters later, this flashback starts, right? And that flashback was just horrible. Like, straight up. So, everything I said was true at that point. But that flashback was terrible. And it was so long. It was like hundreds of pages. It was like several volumes. And I honestly, that's where I dropped the manga. I was reading it like weekly or monthly or whatever, right? And I was just, this flashback is so terrible. So I stopped reading it. And that's why I haven't read it in a few years. So, I don't think the anime will actually get to that point. But I think the anime will be great, because it won't cover that arc, which is terrible in my opinion. But if you read the manga, you probably know what I'm talking about. Coming to this one cat arc, and it's just so long too. Which is so weird, because I remember it being like, you think it's gonna be like, let's say 4 or 5 chapters. It's like 20 chapters, like 25 or something. It just kept going. You were like, why does it keep going for? How long is it? It's like a completely new character. Like if I remember correctly, this manga has like longer chapters. It's like on Titan, where one chapter is longer than, like a normal chapter, right? So basically, Attack on Titan is like 4 chapters in one chapter. That makes sense. Basically, it's a monthly manga doing 80 pages instead of 20 pages, right? Maybe fewer, but that kind of is the volume, right? I believe this is the same, remember correctly. So it's like one manga chapter per month instead. So I don't remember how but it's like 10 chapters. It's like 800 pages. Like this never ends. Okay, like it never ends. This flashback is like so incredibly long, And it's not that, and it's like the worst part of the whole manga too. I was like, my God, just please, please come back to me, Earth. It was just terrible, like seriously. I just remember being like, oh my God, why won't it end for? But yeah, let's go back to, yeah, better do that later. But this shouldn't probably cover that. No, I think it's gonna cover like maybe the next 2-3 arcs on that best. But anyway, another manga which is plot heavy. This is like two different forces, as I say here, are meeting up to fight each other, right? So this sounds like a pretty, what's it called? Oh yeah, it's called like Chained Soldier, right? It sounds pretty interesting. I don't know. It's like a combat anime with, you know, girls fighting older girls basically with magical weapons, right? It's like, yeah, it sounds about right. Sounds about right. But it's basically one. It's like weird magical action animes where it's like, you know, two sides coming to Earth and they both have magical powers or tech powers, and then you should have a lot of fights. I don't know. It looks like an anime. They will have very little like meaningful storyline, and it's a bunch of cool action scenes, right? So it might be great. It might be great. Oh yeah. So bottom tier. So how would I explain this anime? But I've also seen this first season. Bottom tier is like he plays Smash. Yeah, it's like the main character. He's like the best player in the world in Super Smash, right? Which would be probably a more interesting anime to follow that. But I digress. And then basically the second best player in the world is the woman there on the right, and she, you know, meets him in reality. It's like, oh my God, you're the best player ever. You're this super famous, you know, elite gamer, right? But then she's like disappointed. He's like the greatest video game player in the whole planet, right? But you know, he's like a loser otherwise. Which yeah, the premise to me is kind of silly because not that you have to be like a loser to be a gamer. Not that you have to be not that you have to be like a loser to be a video gamer. Not at all. Especially not these days where video games are so popular, right? But yeah, the premise anime is kind of hilarious because it's one thing to be, yes, video games these days are again popular, you know, quite common, whatever, right? You don't have to have like a cool hat like I do, right? You can be another one. Yeah, you need to have this kind of cool hat to be a gamer, right? But again, the premise anime is kind of hilarious because he's like the best player in the world, though, right? And she's like, why don't you have a girlfriend for or something? And I mean, again, you can be a video gamer and a gamer or whatever, right? And you know, and have a girlfriend. Today it's much easier. When I was, you know, young, it was harder because then it was quite lame to be a gamer, right? But this guy is the best player in the world, though. He has to play the game the 10 hours a day. That's the problem. I mean, the premise doesn't make any sense. Like he's like literally the best video gamer in the world. Like he doesn't have time to have a girlfriend, if anything. That's the reason why. But anyway, then the girl, but she's like, oh, I will teach you how to be like a cool guy or something, because she doesn't like that he's not good at everything. Well, she's like, you know, amazing at everything. She's like, oh, you should be like me, best in everything. You should be an amazing video game player as well as, I don't know, good at school and everything. So she kind of tries to, I don't know, make him popular. And he has to teach her, of course, to be the best Smash player, basically. That's basically it, yeah. The trade is that he basically will make her like the greatest video game gamer ever, and she's gonna try to make him popular or something like that. That is a kind of weird thing, but I think it's a pretty good anime. I mean, honestly, it's a pretty fun anime. I make fun of it, but it's funny. It's a cute anime, and it reminds me a lot of these like I don't know, like 90s, I guess mostly, also 80s, but mostly 90s kind of rom-com American movies, right? You know, like She Saw That or whatever. Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm gonna make this another epic date movie. It's called. Yeah, oh, I'm gonna take this like girl with a ponytail and glasses and make it popular. Yeah, it's kind of like that show, you know. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna take this like ugly duckling and make it become a swan. You know, it's very much that storytelling. Oh yeah, this anime. What's it called? He's a healer. He doesn't heal. Yeah, he's a healer, doesn't heal, right? So this anime, I have to say, from a story, or not story, a premise standpoint, it really does sound a lot like, of course, Redo Healer, which is a very crazy anime, right? That I did review and so on a couple of 2 years ago, maybe. Basically, this guy is like, he's a healer, but he instead using healing magic to hurt people, I guess, right? Which is same as like how Elixir does it in in Marvel and so on, right? Like, oh, I can reverse your, I can make you hurt instead, or I can spread the thing or something. And honestly, to me, second time I'm doing it now then, but I don't know, in a video game setting, that seems like super basic, honestly, because it's actually very common, right? It is in role-playing games, so look at, I don't know, World of Warcraft or whatever, that you have dark priest, right? Yeah, like, if anything, in video games, I think it's a very common trope that the healers can also learn, the dark side of healing, then they can use it for hurting people, so that's kind of the premise in this anime, to some extent, right? This guy is like, oh, I'm gonna fight as a healer by using, I will never heal anyone. I'm a priest that doesn't heal people. I'm just gonna. So that being said, yes, an isekai. Yes, I know. He's also one isekai. I know. He's an isekai, and he gets transferred. And he has to fight his people with his healing magic, etc. So he's an isekai, and the thing is that he's isekai, then his power is healing, but he's like fighting healing, right? Like a dark priest, which is actually a very common thing to do in most games. So, but. Maybe good. Maybe good. This actually looks pretty good. It's a very isekai, romance. Everything is isekai, guys. It's a horror. Everything is an isekai. The teleport to another world. And looks like the typical. Actually, it looks very much like the old Star Wars thing. But this one actually is pretty interesting. I think I like the the design of the characters. And I like the art of it. Yeah. So it's like a guy getting... But I mean, it's like the main character gets transported to an elf space thing, right? And now he has to run around and save his, So, again, isekai. My god, I 10 isekais. But this one looks pretty plot-heavy, at least, yeah. And then, of course, here's the best anime coming this season, obviously. Gals. And that image here is weird. Oh, yeah, look at that. Happy gyros. So, of course, this is definitely the best anime this season. Straight up, guys. It's gonna be weird now. Now we gotta get their hand up there. That was perfect. If I get a hand up, I wanna be under that thing. Oh, look at the happy face there. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. This is the anime coming, guys. This is the anime. There we go. Actually, the arm should be smaller. Oh, yeah. Like the nails coming up like that. Oh, this perfect. There we go. So, this, everyone, is the best anime common rights, which of course is Hokkaido gals are adorable. So, no, seriously, this is the best anime, okay? It's the best anime. Feel the hype, feel the best girls, okay? This anime is about a guy. I read the whole manga. I read the whole manga. Of course I have. Have you seen my Mari collection? Right? Have you seen my Mari collection? Of course I read the whole manga. Get the Marin up here, right? Yeah. This anime is like the new Marin, okay? So basically, he's like a guy, right? He moves to Hokkaido, this main character, and he's all like, "Oh, Hokkaido's boring. He's up in the Bump Kings or whatever." Blah 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 blah. And then he meets this like adorable guy, right? A gal, or gyro. And then basically, he's gonna meet a bunch of gyros living in Hokkaido, and they're all like super extreme, gyro, because they're like, it's super cold. She's like wearing a gyro outfit, with like this, skirt, short skirt, and outfits and all. Her clothing doesn't make any sense, right? Because it's obviously, she's dressed a typical gyro outfit, but it's freezing cold in Hokkaido. If you don't know, Hokkaido, of course, is the Japan's, coldest island, right? One of the main 4 islands. It's the north one. It's a lot of snow and so on, right? But this girl, right? This is main female character, and also the other gals. They have all these weird gyro outfits, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? And it's super adorable. He's like the nicest person ever. Very typical, gyro, right? But I think it's like a funny thing because gyros are always basically the nicest people, right? Yeah. Gals are always like the nicest female characters. Like, it's very, very rarely. I think you have. No, but seriously, I mean, I guess Nagatoro, she's a gal too, I guess. She's a Kubrick gal, I suppose, but, she's in that typical Kouho senpai comedy, right? But otherwise, almost every gal character is always like super nice, super friendly, right? Like the nicest Japanese people ever, like the super wholesome characters, right? But yeah, I read the whole manga. It's really great. It is not my favorite gyro manga. This obviously is Marin-chan, and again, I mean, I read, Marin, Dress Up Darling. I read Dress Up Darling before I watched the anime, right? And as a side note, I remember that it was so funny because I was doing reactions to like Dress Up Darling, and there was people commenting like, "Oh, you're just like a fake reactor. You're only watching this thing because it's popular or something." And I'm like, "Bro, I've read like every Gyro manga ever. Welcome to my channel, bro. I collect Gyro mangas. Like, I read the whole manga, and just like now, I said before the anime aired with this darling, I was like, oh, this is gonna be one of the biggest anime this year, and Mario is gonna be super popular. And I said it like a year before, right? So I was like, bro. But I got several comments with that. I was like, what is he talking about? But yeah, the anime definitely exploded. That being said, I don't think this anime will explode as much as Marin-chan. Obviously because of the plot, right? Yeah, the fan service, seriously. This anime, again, is great, and obviously, as you can imagine, right, because it's a Gyro manga, with a super nice character, right? Adorable guys, and it's more than one gal, right? And, you know, so on, as I mentioned. Obviously, they are probably not gonna, like, you know, they're gonna have some plot scenes, right? They are gonna have probably, and we will see how they will look in the anime, right? That being said, though, very minor spoiler, the other characters doesn't actually appear that quickly in the manga. So we will see what happens with that, but it's gonna be like 12 episodes, this anime, and so the second character, she probably will appear in 12 episodes, definitely, but the third one actually probably won't. So, but I think they're gonna rewrite it, honestly, because they're probably gonna have like, I think they are gonna like, yeah, add some time to that, because I actually very much doubt that they normally would it, so the pacing. But regardless, so especially when a new character introduced at some point, especially when the second character introduced, then obviously they kind of step up the plot, right? Because now it's like, here's a new character, let's show a plot right there. So it's certainly gonna be like that. But compared to like Marin, no, obviously the darling is a very well written character. I think, you know, Marin is actually very well written. She's one of the best written in manga. But obviously, regardless of her writing or whatever personality, obviously Marin is very plot heavy, right? You know, some scenes are incredibly plot heavy. So this anime won't have nearly the Marin plot, right? Not at all. So I very much doubt it's gonna like explode in the sense of Marin's popularity. I very much doubt it. But Hokkaido Gas are still really adorable, and I think this actually will probably be genuinely the most popular, like, you know, rom-com show this season. Of the ones I read and seen before this, I think it's like a very good manga. I love this manga. It's one of my favorite Gyro mangas, right? But it actually is probably seriously my number 2 Gyro manga after Marin-chan. So Hokkaido Gas is a really good show, like super good. So they actually is my most popular, my most hyped show for next year, right? At least when it comes to typical, you know, rom-com, right? But I'll say it, right? You know, and people ask me, what's your favorite anime? What's your best anime, right? I think you all have to look at it from a genre standpoint, right? Like, you can't compare, let's say, again, then Dress Up Darling to like One Piece, right? You can't compare that. It's like, yeah, one of them is an adventure shonen anime where they're traveling around with powers and they're fighting demons or whatever, you know what I mean? And the other one is like, oh, it's like a cute slice of life show. Yeah, like, they're so different, right? They're very, very different. But this is like one of the best, I think, rom-coms, right? You know what I mean? You have to think about that. Yeah, you can't really like. I also find it kind of weird when people are like, "Oh, what's the best this thing?" Like, yeah, doesn't really make much sense, right? In other context, no. But anyway, I digress. Let's go back to so Dusanko Gals. But honestly, I think the English name is better because it's like Hokkaido Gals, you know, because you don't, you know, as a non-Japanese person, you probably won't know what like this is referring to, right? Yeah, like, but it's referring to, of course, Hokkaido and so on. But this character here, then, very minor spoiler. Yeah, she doesn't appear in like, the first 100 chapters, no, but she doesn't appear for a long time. So I think they're gonna change a little bit how they're introducing the characters, because I see that in the trailer both these other characters are much more frequently shown, right? So they probably actually speed up when she joins, and probably will skip over. I can. This is my guess. Is they're gonna, you know, have main character, bunch of her stuff, right? Introduction. Then they should probably will jump pretty quickly to this character. I feel they probably skip a lot of chapters in between, I think, which are just kind of like, you know, slice of life comedy episodes. Yeah, doesn't really add that into the character. It's kind of funny, probably. But anyway, yeah, they get Frostbite and so on. It's a really good show. Then we got Otome Girls, right? And this is also, I feel, it's Isekai. It's Isekai, of course. But it's an isekai. This is starting to become kind of like a trope as well, right? So you have a female main character, and she is playing an otome game, right? You know, like a game for girls, right? Aimed at female audience. And it's like in this video game, and as it's similar to like, did I tell you to make me average and so on, right? This woman becomes the strongest demon lord ever, basically. But she doesn't want to be a demon lord. She just want to be AFKing, right? Yeah. So this I feel also becoming a trope storyline too, right? With a main character, usually the female then, right, gets isekai'd, is too powerful, right? They get OP, you know, the OP isekai storyline, but she doesn't want to be OP. She's trying to just live a normal life as a farmer or something. So this is again the storyline. As I mentioned earlier, this is becoming like, yeah, she's like a hardcore gamer and so on, right? But yeah, it's like, I don't know, this is becoming a trope as well, right? Maybe it's good, but I feel I've seen this storyline like 10 times before as well now, right? Yeah. Super OP girl is trying to not be OP, you know? Something like that. And then it's also like a weird anime where... This is like an anime where... How to say it? It seems to be a typical, like, you know, comedy slice of life show, right? But the guy's actually like the demon lord, or he's like an alien or whatever, basically, right? Yeah, it's like this weird thing. It must be a little bit of the demon lord is a part-time worker, right? You know, like, oh, we're trying to live like a normal life at Earth and just, you know, have like a comedy or whatever, the size of life show. But we have supernatural powers, right? That is super relevant, but there are something relevant, something like that. Yeah, like Tenshi means angel, like Tenshi to Akuma, you know, angel to demon on Earth kind of thing. I can't remember the exact now. Whatever. And then we got Pseudo Trigger with a Trigger shirt. Here it is, of course. One of my favorite shirts that I own, actually, I feel, is of course this shirt, right? It's I think one of my best ones I have. It just looks so stylistic, you know. I like it, you know, the slicing of Ryoku and so on, and the half, you know, the sword slash, not actually a sword, you know, and so on. But anyway, obviously a trigger show, right? Dungeon Meshi, or like food dungeon, or whatever you call it. So again, Trigger, one of the best, you know, anime companies ever, right? They've done all these really cool shows. They're not talking about, they've done about everything from Akko, yeah, Little Academia, and so on, right? You know, they've done so many good shows, saying on top of Girl Lagan and the whole guidance thing and etc., right? And obviously they did Cyberpunk, which was very popular, of course, last year, right? Yeah, incredibly popular, right? So this year instead, Trigger is coming back with a food manga instead, and it's here we go. Oh, that's a big one. Sorry. It's the food, okay? Food allergies, okay? Man, that was a big sneeze. Oh, Jesus Christ. I see stars everywhere. Seriously, that was my God, that sneeze was powerful. Like I'm literally like seeing 50 stars. My God. That was the year's most powerful sneeze. Okay, sorry. Seriously, my head hurts. That sneeze was powerful. Okay. Pseudo Trigger. You know, done a bunch of cool shows. Ryoku is badass, and so on, right? This show seems so not Trigger. Yeah, this show seems so incredibly not Trigger, right? Because they've done all this, like, you know, they usually do this like very, you know, crazy over the top shows where half the planet is actually a robot or something, and they go to space. And now they're making like a dungeon anime, like a fantasy anime, Baldur's Gate or whatever, World of Warcraft, kind of like typical fantasy, elves and dragons, and they're eating food. So it seems so incredibly not Trigger. This show is like the least Trigger show I've seen in my life. Are they gonna go to like a space dungeon somewhere? It's based on a manga too. So honestly, this might be like the least crazy Trigger show has ever done. You have to also remember that Trigger usually does their own stuff, right? You know, like not based on mangas, right? Cyberpunk was based on a video game, but they have a lot of freedom, right? So yeah, this feels like. Actually, I have to say, I'm a huge Trigger fan, but I'm actually not that hyped for this show, honestly. Even though it actually might be a really good show, don't get me wrong, it might be really good, and I like, you know, isekai cooking, and I'm a big fan of Soma, right? So I like cooking, right? My father used to be a chef when I was a kid. my dad was a chef in the Navy, and then after left the Navy and kept being a chef for a few years. Then he stopped being a chef, then became an engineer instead, whatever. But he was like a chef maybe before I was born until I was like 8 or something. So he was a chef when I was growing up, right? And so on. And I'm a big fan of whatever, Gordon Ramsay and so on, right? So I like cooking shows and I like cooking animes. So in that sense, this actually, I mean, this might be right on my alley and triggers are really good. But I do feel a little bit like this is like the least trigger thing ever, Silo. Like the least trigger thing ever. Even though I love cooking anime shows, I want to see Trigger just be crazy with trigger ideas, right? I don't really feel like they can really go crazy here. And especially, like I said, it's based on a manga, so they have to stay on, you know, in the manga's kind of domain, right? In Cyberpunk, even though it's based on that video game, they can go kind of crazy in the whole world. And Cyberpunk is like an open world kind of thing, right? So they can go crazy with that. I have to say, it feels like a really miss here to make Trigger do this thing. But maybe it becomes the greatest cooking anime ever. Sure. I mean, I like the genre, so it's not. I like cooking shows. I mean, both anime and non-anime, right? So, 4 days. So I'm definitely gonna watch it though. And I actually, I mean, genuinely, I probably will like it. I probably actually will like this anime a lot, actually. But still, though, you know, I want Trigger to go to the moon with, you know, waifus transforming into mechas and flying around in space, something. That's still what I want Trigger to do, or something else. But I mean, something crazy. But yeah, they're gonna eat monsters or whatever. And then we have skeleton guy again. So we had a skeleton isekai. Was it this year or last year? But basically, you know, fantasy world. That he turns into like an undead or something. He's like a weakling. He's a terrible hunter or whatever, right? And now instead he's like a skeleton, but he keeps doing sleeping hunter. It looks decent, but it looks like typical fantasy. And he has to hide that he's an undead, right? You know, he's like a good undead guy. He has to hide it. You know, that's like half the jokes are gonna be him trying to hide his skeleton. This anime, Jitsuryoku Slime Tamer, they have the show already. It's like 3 slime taming. It's like 3. I don't know why, but it's like taming those slimes, man. This is to be the easiest thing ever. Yeah, incredibly common. But anyway, these animes are pretty nice. So basically, I never remember what it's called. Live Combination, you know what it's called. But this genre calls something else than isekai. This is an isekai, don't get me wrong, it's an isekai. But it's like a sub-genre to isekai, which I believe is called iski. Okay? And I think it's the right word for it. If you know the correct word for it, please leave a comment below. Because I never remember what the correct term is. But I think it's called iski. And basically, in iski, it's isekai, right? Yes. But then it's also like slice of life and just like super wholesome, right? So it's just like the previous Slime Tamer anime that was like 3 years ago, maybe, where, you know, the guy dies, he comes to another world, he gets slime powers, then it basically just cleans, then he's like, okay, has a nice house, right? This is the same thing as well, right? Well, it seems to be mostly this. It's like, oh, she dies and she becomes like a tamer, and she has like, you know, like a nice time, you know? Yeah, it's like, you know, she probably will fight someone eventually, but it's mostly like, no, you know, it's like she just chills out and, you know, eats, you know, she cooks and makes food and has like good time, you know. So, you know, it's like, it's isekai, but it actually should be called that other thing, I think, honestly, because this, like, genre, right, is actually quite a common subject of isekai, where basically it's because of, you know, Japan is stressful, right? People want to quit. Look at Zoom, for example. Now, Zoom, of course, is a zombie anime. It's an isekai, right? But the premise is that he's happy, right? Because it's like, oh, I finally could quit my job, right? And this anime feels very similar, where she's like, oh, it's just nice, you know, I can just, you know, live in the forest and hang out with my slimes and have a nice day. That's how it seems it is mostly. It's just like, yeah, you know, I do stuff and, yeah, just chill out, right? So it's another anime coming later in this list here, so it seems very similar. But, yeah, quite similar. And then we have Bofuri. But what if Bofuri was an edgelord instead? And now I got my feet stuck in the... There we go. There we go. So, what if... Oh, what? Okay, yeah, it's news. Windows 11. Yeah, I was like, what happened? Yeah. Windows 11. There was a queen there. Yeah, there was a queen popping up. The Swedish queen. So yeah, I just bought this PC, right? Actually, I bought it at Black Friday. Took a few to get it here. Took a while to get it here. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, it was like, I had to sell it here, of course, and yeah. But I finally have it. The thing is that, couple of things. I'm using, obviously, my old account still, right? My Switch account. And one thing is that I have never learned to, like, not use Swedish keyboard and so on. Yeah, I just have to use it. Even though I lived outside Sweden for many years, you know, your fingers are so used to it. Yeah, I just can't. I have to have like a Swedish keyboard and so on. But anyway, I think it's the Queen appeared there. I think because this account is linked to my old, you know, like account I made like 25 years ago, whatever, something like that. So it's probably like, oh, you once, you know, on not Chrome but Edge, right? Even before Edge, probably Explorer. Yeah, you used Explorer to read about the Swedish king 25 years ago. Here's the queen. Something. I think it was Queen Sylvia that appeared briefly. Let me take a check. Actually, that was pretty cute. I think it wasn't that. How did I get it even? Not like that. How do I even get it? Oh, I see. You press the temperature button down there. Then you get the news. Yeah, and it's Sylvia. What's that? Sylvia. Okay, so yeah, I like it. It's kind of like, let's show you guys. It's no weird thing here. It's copy. You have to be copyright, you know, aware, whatever, right? But come on, it went away. I like it. It's kind of like a summary of my life. It's like, here's the stocks you like, and here's the queen. Yeah, it's like, here's the stocks. You like stocks, you know? No, actually, it's not. It's currency. Sorry, it's foreign currency. And then it's like the queen is pressured. And then she's saying something. Yeah, the queen is under pressure about something. Did I say what, though? The title is like, the queen is under pressure. Anyway, sorry. I was just excited seeing Queen Sylvia. She will probably... Yeah, she's very old. Like, she's 90. No, how old is she? 85, 90? She's very old, at least. Her daughter, of course, is named Victoria. Will probably be queen soon, honestly. Her mom is, like, quite old. Yeah, Queen Sylvia. Iconic figure in Sweden. What was I? Yeah, King Bufuri was a guy instead. 9,000 defense points and everyone dislikes him. He's a bit kind of weird though, so he's very much maple, I guess. But anyway, who cares? Yeah, we're coming through it down the list now, so I'll be quicker here. This is one of those weird, like, girl has to work or something. No, but this is our isekai, so... God. It's like 20 isekais! Seriously. Oh god, there's so many isekais. Why so many isekais for? Where's my Aqua shirt? It's so many isekai Aqua. You can't do this anymore. So this is yet another anime about a girl going to the world, and then she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make medicine or something. I've seen this before. Like, I've literally seen exactly the same anime where a woman becomes like a doctor in an isekai. I had 2 seasons. It's like apothecary girl or something. Like, Jesus Christ, man. These are getting this specific trope too. That it's like a woman gets isekai, and now she's using her like past experience or whatever to be like, oh, I'm gonna be a doctor or something. Like, it's just like, yeah, okay, the premise, she was evil in the previous life, is something. Who cares? Like, genuinely, like, how many times haven't I seen this exact storyline? This is like the 5th or 6th anime. It is the exact storyline, basically. I mean, the actual storyline of her, like, being a doctor, with, like, a really good doctor, because she's, like, her second life or something, right? Jesus Christ, man. And then, obviously, it's, like, 5-6 different men, right, that likes her. Yeah, it's like 5 different princes. They all want to marry her or something, come on. Yeah, it's like, of course! It's like it's an otome, yeah, it's an otome storyline. It doesn't say up here, but it's obviously otome. It's like, you know, Elise the doctor with like the 5 different princes. Yeah, come on. We've seen this thing exactly. Come on, like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, everyone can be impressed by her amazing medicine skills, and she's so nice and whatever. Oh my god. Zero interest. This anime then, I think it's the first anime airing. Yeah, so now, this is exactly, basically, like the other anime I thought about, right? Again, isekai. So, Jesus Christ, isekai, like the 500 isekais. Isekai, but this, again, as I mentioned, is the isekai where, like the slime isekai, where the main character is just like, oh yeah, it's like, I don't want to be a warrior, I just want to shit out, right? So he's gonna hang out with his dragon, and they're gonna have like a farm or something, and it's just like a slice of life rather, and he's gonna like chill out, and exactly he's like overworked, so he's like, oh, Japan is, he had a very stressful life, but now he can just chill out and I don't know, fly on his dragon and just have a good time. Yeah, it's like exactly cuddle with the fluffy animals. Yeah, so, exactly cuddle with stuff and get like a tiger and just have like a friendship, right? So this is just what I said earlier with the slime. Like I said, that's why I mentioned too, because that this genre, which I think is called Isekai or something like that. Yeah, it really is like a popular genre. Yeah, every season usually has like 1 or 2 of these animes, and as a YouTuber or whatever, these are like the worst of the worst. No, but seriously, these shows might be great, and you might watch them. But I've tried to like review and react to some of these shows, and it's completely dead weight. Yeah, you cannot talk about these shows straight up, right? Because obviously nothing much happens. The whole storyline premise is that, oh, I'm just having a farm, and then on my farm I have a dragon. He's my best friend, and we hang out and eat food together, right? And nothing actually happens, and it's like a nice, cuddly show, right? I don't say they're bad, but yeah, so obviously that's why I never actually like direct talk about the shows after these general things, right? Because you can't, right? I tried a few times, but they're always just way too fluffy, basically. Like nothing. It's like there's no conflict, there's no twist or turn. That's one thing too, right? Because I mean, obviously, as a anime manga reviewer or whatever, right? The biggest thing usually is a twist. Oh, this guy betrayed this guy. Oh my god, I could do. That's usually the biggest thing, right? I think when you make a review, who's the traitor? Of Zeppelin took revenge. Who's the time leaper? Right? That's like the big thing. Who's the actual time leaper? So yeah. But this kind of show has like zero of that. They have it purely just like, oh, it's fluffy animals. Yes, I'm not saying they're terrible, but from a YouTuber or whatever standpoint, they're obviously like completely dead weight. Yeah, like it's like. Madio to You looks pretty interesting. Basically, a couple of supernatural monsters traveling to find a witch they want revenge on. So basically, this is like, oh, I'm a vampire, or this woman made me to. Actually, a werewolf. I actually think about it. But whatever, oh, she's like cursed to be a werewolf, or he's cursed to be something else, or whatever. And they try to, cure themselves from this like the supernatural curse, right? And they're traveling around in like. Reality kinda, like basically a city or whatever, right, so to speak, like London 100 years ago kinda, right, but they also have vampires and dragons, whatever. And I think I haven't seen the trailers, and I think you can kind of figure out what's gonna happen. Oh, this guy got an undead friend with him, and she's a werewolf, and then it's a vampire somewhere, yeah, and they're gonna fight some other supernatural guys. So I think you kind of see where that's going as well, right? This is yet another Otome game. No, not really, but basically, this is like this actually is more like I'll say just to render, and yeah, this is more like I guess like a more mature version of that, right? Where it's like, oh, one character is deaf, and it's it's a little bit, but still though, it's like it's some kind of like rom-com, rom drama, right? With one deaf person. It might be nice. It might be nice. Maybe similar to like Silent Voice or whatever, right? Yeah. So I want to check it out, but it sounds kind of. Then we have, oh yeah, it's not an isekai. It's basically just has the isekai Otome storyline with one girl and like 5 princes. Yeah, but it actually is an isekai. Or is it? No, it's this like. It's not an isekai, but she's still reincarnated. Yeah, it's to the same word. Oh god, this season is one of those isekai trashes. And so, in this anime, okay, Risha is her name, right? Yeah, she's, I guess she technically isn't an isekai, but she's like, she has died, right? And instead she's reincarnated to the same world again. And now she knows what's gonna happen or whatever. You know what I mean? Like she's been reincarnated to her previous life, right? So it's not isekai per se, but it's like, I'm like reliving my life or something. So it still has that reincarnation thing going, right? She knows what's gonna happen, and she's actually is older because she got the experience from actually being alive earlier, so to speak, right? So she has all the memories. So it basically has that isekai touch to it. It's like, oh, I'm actually an experienced doctor or something, but I'm living this thing. This is my own life. But it's like her own previous lives, but she has the knowledge of future event, and also of course like her general skills are better or whatever. And then it's a fantasy world anyway. So this might as well been an isekai, right? Like, seriously! I'm sorry I'm screaming. This could have been an isekai because it's just like... I mean, there's so many isekais, right? Like Step Back Arena, where, you know, she goes into a video game, right? She's stuck in a video game, so she knows what's gonna happen because she's played the video game. She knows what's gonna happen in the future, right? This anime says the thing. Risa has lived her life in this fantasy world. Then she dies, and she's reborn, or like society, for she goes back in time, basically, right? It's after her dies, and it goes back to her as a kid, and she live her life again. So it's in a time loop kind of thing, right? And she basically knows what's gonna happen, and it's a fantasy world. So it's like more or less the same thing, right? And it's also like, no, I have to change because my husband will betray me, or whatever. Yeah, it's like it's very similar to. It's I have to avoid the death flag. Yeah, it's like Jesus Christ. This is what I mentioned earlier. And obviously, this is like gonna be one of the best animes. Now, come on, this is gonna be one of the best animes. Metallic Rogue. Look at this. Look at this character. Look at this character. Look at this like freaking hot Kuro gal, guys. You got a Kuro gal, okay? Clearly, this is the best new anime. But seriously, Bones, very good studio. Metallic Rogue, and what can I say, right? I always have a huge trust for original animes from Bones, right? Because they don't have to care about pacing. They have to follow a manga. I almost always are these animes top tier animes where, and Bones does it many times, right, where they make pretty cool animes, right, based on just their own ideas instead of copying stuff. And I think more companies should make that. If anything, I'm kind of tired of, honestly, that so many animes are either based on light novels or manga. So mangas, I guess, now, but still. Back in the days when I was young, right, much more animes were original, I would say. Yeah, there were way more OVAs, original stuff. Today, it's much more like streamlined, We're making anime based on already popular content, which of course is safer, right? So this is one of the few OG animes this season, and has like a really cool Kuro gal, and they can control these like cool mechas and so on, right? And I think it's gonna be honestly, straight up, one of the best animes coming this year, Metallic Rogue. That being said, these animes from Bones usually have like a really bad endings or really weird endings. So it's usually like really good in the beginning, and then they fail the landing. That's usually how it is. Yeah, they are really good, and they skyrocket the first episodes, and then they usually miserably fail the last episode. I don't know, but I've seen similar Bones shows like, okay. So let's see, but yeah, I think it's pretty good. Of course, we have 7. We're watching that, which is pretty good. And honestly, I like it a lot more than the. I was listening. I don't like it more than the OG show. Okay, in the beginning, of course, that is better. But I like it it more than I like the ending or the last 2 seasons of the OG show, right? Something like that. Yeah, the last 2 seasons. Because obviously the OG show had also massive issues with the actual budget. The animation, CGI, whatever, it was terrible. It was really terrible. But also the actual writing for especially the last season, it's just crazy, right? With the chaos thing, it just went crazier and crazier. This show here is still more, but it's in the beginning though. But the first season so far has been much more like down to earth, so to speak, right? They have powers, whatever, but the powers aren't like completely crazy yet. So I think, but also things like a general issue for shonen anime, like Naruto as well as so on, right? In the beginning, the powers are usually more down, like, I can throw a fireball, and then it becomes I can turn into God. Yeah, it's usually better when they throw fireballs than like, I am the literal messiah or something. Yeah, no, that's when Naruto lost me. That's when it started to become bad. Anyways, Isura actually is pretty good. So basically, it's like the demon lord has fallen or whatever, right? And now Ishura, or like Ashura, is like a typical, deva, so it's like a god, right? So there's a bunch of powerful people. I guess you see all of them here, but basically, right, these people here, right? Yeah, all these people are like, I'm the strongest warrior, I'm the best magician or whatever, I'm the best, whatever, sniper, so on. Now they're all gonna have like some kind of weird battle royale, basically, because they all want to become famous or legendary heroes / demons or whatever. So they all have this like huge conflict of trying to become the best or whatever, right? But also, of course, defeating other bad people too, right? So they're gonna have a conflict against each other because they all want to become the most famous, strongest person, basically, and they also want to, in a way, to become famous. It's like, if I had defeated the dragon, then I get famous, right? And then some other character with the steel dragon and so on. So it's like actually pretty cool, like kind of a battle royale feel to it, right? Like a battle royale in a fantasy world where you both you can either fight the environment, but you can also fight each other, right, to get points or whatever. So it sounds like a pretty cool, like a video game setting. Yeah, sounds pretty interesting actually. Then this is also Mechi Harem, but it's short form. But this is also Isekai, I know. But this is Isekai, but instead of being at other ones where it's like, oh, I have a farm now, this guy's like, I got wives. Like, basically. But let's go on. But that's basically it. That's basically it's like, oh, I died, and instead of getting to have a dragon and a tiger, and I'm running a farm, this guy is like, I got an elf, and I got an orc lady. And that's basically it, right? Yeah, it's like, yeah. So this anime, I think it'll be interesting. Also an OG show, Pon no Michi. And if you know your, Pon, that's obviously a mahjong, right? So this is slice of life where you all play mahjong. So basically, looking too much here, but Pon and Ron and so on are different things you save when you play mahjong with name consoles. Pon is when you take. Pon is when someone plays something and you take it for a tree. In any education. So basically, let's say you have 2 white dragons and the other guy plays his white dragon and trash it, then you can say, Pon, you take that white dragon. That probably makes no sense, but it actually works. But I'm a big fan, of like Akagi, Kaji, and so on, right? This is obviously more of a comedy slice of life show, right? With a bunch of female characters which looks adorable instead of like some kind of hardcore gaming. But I don't know. I'm a big mahjong fan, right? I used to play mahjong competitively for money and so on, right? So I'm a hardcore mahjong player. So yeah, I don't know. This could be like a really cute show with like it's adorable characters playing mahjong. So I think it would be really entertaining if it's like Akagi, where it's like, oh, I gotta play this really super serious, like dramatic, oh, if I do this thing, then I get the sumo, if it's like that, but instead of being like this like hardcore muscle beef guys, they'd be like, oh, yeah, I gotta play this. Instead it's like this adorable ladies be like, yeah, I got Yato, yeah, I got it, yeah, sumo. So if it's like that instead, it would be hilarious. Yeah, it's like maybe it's like the nicer version of what's called again this guy Kikiguri. Yeah, maybe it's Kikiguri, but instead of being a bunch of crazy people, they're all nice instead. Yeah, Kikiguri is like like 5 crazy waifus, right? Yeah, this is like 5 nice people instead. But I don't know. This anime, Hime-sama eating, sounds very similar to me to what's called again? Demon Princess in the Sleeping Castle? No, something else. Like Sleeping Princess in the Demon Castle, right? Something like that, yeah, in English. Which is a really good show, which unfortunately I removed on my own channel, right? Because everyone's getting copyright on that show. So that's why you can't find my videos anymore. Because, yeah, I read to that show. Really funny show. Really funny, honestly. It's like a sociopathic princess that is like, I have to make my bed! or something, right? It's a really good show. But this show actually sounds very similar. Basically, it's a princess, right? She's stuck in this, in the demon dungeon or whatever. But instead of, she's like, yeah, it's awesome. Give me some food. It's like, and she likes it, Oh, I love it here. You just feed me shit, and I don't have to go outside. Yeah, I don't have to work. Yeah, she loves being in prison. She's like, it's the best thing ever, right? And they try to, I don't know, defeat her by feeding her or something. I don't know. They enjoy it. So it sounds like a pretty nice, yeah, it's like another food show. Obviously, almost like comedy, mostly. Yes, it's fantasy, but come on, it's basically a comedy, right? Where I guess the demon lord is like, this is my favorite, dragon or something. Yeah, something like that. But then we got Shaman King. So I'm quite satisfied with this show. Let's see if it's good or not. So basically, right, Shaman King is of course an anime that they remade. Was it last year? The remake. But anyway, so I have all the manga of Shaman King because I bought it when it was new, right? Basically, on English, the first volume. So I said, that was that. It's supposed to be early 2000 probably, maybe even late 90s. I think early 2000. So 20 years ago, right? Yeah. So obviously I had all manga. Then I seen the whole anime, right, of the original show. And I started watching the remake, which is fine. It's a fine show, but it's basically kind of like chapter by chapter remake, right? So I haven't finished the remake because I already read it several times or whatever. So I'm like, whatever. Like it's not super exciting to see basically like, you know, it's better animation, right? But it's probably better than the OG one, perhaps. Northern Light could ever be beaten though, the best OP. But anyway, so Shaman King, this to me is interesting because this is based on, of course, on Yoa's son, right? Yeah, and Anna, of course, being his wife, of course, and so Hanna, his name is there. Honestly, I don't know what it's about. I haven't even seen the trailer. I just saw the anime, and I don't want to get spoiled, you know. Yeah, I was like, no, you know what? Obviously, I understand what it's about. Dear son is gonna have shaman powers, and it's obviously like a shonen show. He's gonna fight evil guys with shaman powers. So, like, but yeah, I'm like a big fan of the OG show, right? One of my favorite shonen shows back in the days, like I said. So I'm excited for this one. I wasn't excited for the remake that much because it was just way too similar, right? But this one, yeah, this is the sequel. This sounds much more interesting. That being said, maybe it's like a Boruto and it's too similar. I don't know. We will see. But I'm definitely checking it out. Absolutely. But it does feel like it looks very similar. Or he got the same go. I don't know. So it probably won't be like my favorite anime anyway because it feels like, I don't know. I feel the authors when they. This is obviously could be its own video, but this topic I guess. But what do you guys think? Should these big famous authors, Oda, Kishimoto, whatever, right, Kubo and so on, and then all these other shonen writers, what do you rather see? Do you see them writing Boruto, whatever? I mean, obviously, Naruto has a lot of fans and so on, but would you rather see them work on their own stuff, like the new stuff, right? I feel that's something a mystery. So, for example, when he finally finishes One Piece in like 50 years from now, I don't want to see Two Piece, right? I'd much rather see Oda be like, oh, I'm going to write a space manga now, or a mecha manga, right? It's nothing to do with One Piece whatsoever. And I won't even refer to One Piece, honestly. I don't want it to be like Eren Zero. I want it to be like, no, I'm not even going to refer to all this stuff, or even remotely talk about it. Maybe something will be hints every now and then, like, but not that big. Probably more so that the author has their own art style, right, if anything. But I much rather have that. I'm not a big fan of these. I'm not saying that now after I said it, yeah, but still, I'm not a big fan of these, like, you know, like not the sequels, yeah, the remake sequels thing. Because the issue, though, and this is my, I'm guessing here, right, for Shaman King remake or sequel, is that it basically is a remake because it's so similar. The kid got the similar powers, similar characters. I just feel like the authors are too afraid to like disappoint or whatever. So when they make these shows, they kind of make the son have more of the same power and personality of the main character, right? Of the previous main character. And then they have friends that are basically the same, you know. Oh, if the main character had a Gairu in his party, of course, the guy with a Kuro guy, but basically the same thing, yeah, and so on. And, oh, we have this like muscular beefcake best friend. The son will also find a muscular beefcake best friend. Maybe it's a woman, but still a muscular, yeah, it's like they have almost the same and so on. And it just feels like, you know, no, just do something else instead. That being said, I might still enjoy it. I mean, I'm a big fan of the OG show, but I do have my little bit like, oh, this looks very much like incredibly similar to the first manga, right? Of course, Burn was yesterday. Arguably, this is the last anime of last season, right? But anyway, yeah, check it out. You know, on my channel, I just watched it yesterday and reviewed it. And yeah, it's a good episode 1. It felt a lot more like an actual episode 1 that Kubo might come back. And on that note, to mention that show, I would rather have that show, honestly, probably, than the Hell thing in Bleach. Probably would, yeah. I'd rather see Kubo like, okay, I'm gonna make new characters, new setting, new powers. You know, they have dragons, they have demons, whatever, and so on. Instead of hollows. And yeah, I'd rather see them be like, no, I'm gonna make a new thing. I think so. Coming to the end now, I think. Yeah, this is like some fantasy. I forgot about the show. Whatever. Oh yeah, Loom. Okay, we gotta watch Loom, of course. Best girl, OG best girl. Yeah, OG best girl. Now what's this thing? Oh, this yeah. Oh, where's my yeah? What's this thing? Yeah, how cute, right? Yeah, how cute. Loom, of course. I loved the first season. That being said, I mean, I have the manga of Ranma and so on, right? And I've seen the OG Loom. what can I say? Her name is Rumiko. Yeah, Rumiko Takahashi. She's like the OG mother of manga, right? You know, she's done all these famous mangas, Inuyasha, Ranma, and so on. And the thing with Loomis, like I said last year with aired, is that it really is amazing because you can see all these like classic jokes, right? That today are like such a trope and mainstay and so on, right? All the comedy bits. But of course, she was the one that was first with them, you know? The alien crazy girls like, darling! And so on, yeah. She was the one that created that idea, right? She's the one that, you know, made all that OG stuff. And I always find it so respectful, right? When you see YouTubers, and you know what I'm talking about, I said it before, that are like, oh, Loom is terrible. It's like the most tropey anime ever. I'm like, my God, what's wrong with this guy? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, this person, you know what I'm talking about? This YouTuber, he's sitting there, he made couple of videos complaining about Loom being, you know, tropey and copycatting, and I'm just like, what's wrong with him? This is the OG anime of a crazy girl from space coming in here. This is the first one, okay? Of course, this feels tropey now because you're remaking a show from the 70s that has everyone else has copied since the 70s. So of course today it feels weird, right? But I think it's amazing because this is like the pioneer of it, right? But they're taking the pioneer stuff. The comedy we had in Radman so well, right? It's always been amazing. It's so on point with jokes, right? There's no wasted time and so on. However, they're taking that old art, right, and made it beautiful, right, with modern technology, right? So it feels like I'm watching classic, like OG comedy show, right, from the 70s, but it's taken with modern quality animation, right? So I think Loom is amazing. I think it was one of the best anime last year, and of course, personally, it is right down my alley of comedy. So I grew up with this kind of comedy, right? As when I was watching anime, Loom and Ranma and so on were popular, right? So I grew up with her work back those days. I'm not old as in Loom, but you know, basically when I was a kid, you could read and watch Loom, right? You know, so I was like, it was popular then. So, but Ranma though, I have all the Ranma volumes, right, and so on. And Ranma was very popular when I was a kid. So the Airing when I was a kid, right? That was one of the most popular animes. So obviously, I'm a little biased perhaps, but. No. But that guy you're talking about, Jesus Christ, that YouTuber, being like, oh, it's so copycatting, well, unoriginal show. It's like, no, it's the first show. It's the show that's created this all like this. Of a darling, yeah, it's the first darling show. Anyway, old anime, high card, this is like a weird magic girl, I'm not talking about it. Fighting, I'm just gonna go quickly down now, guys. In the end here. Looks like Jitsuryoku, but everyone's friendly instead. Now it's like the bottom tier anime no one cares about. This is like Yoyo, Bushigiri. This actually is the anime I might watch though, Bushigiri, because also like Yankees, yeah. It's like delinquents, yeah. Furuko Yankees. Yashin coming back. Oh yeah, Kingdom season 5. What can I say, right? Kingdom is this anime about people in a wars. Kingdom is, I read the manga though, so Kingdom is like, what can I say, right? It's like a historical setting, right, of China, and they have different countries, and, you know, they have different wars and so on. It's a pretty good show, but I think the Kingdom is very, like, it's not an anime or a manga you can just casually watch, right? It's like 500 characters, and it's based on reality, and a lot of references to real stuff and so on, right? It helps with interest in history, and this is the 5th season, so I mean, I like it, and I read the manga, but I do think that a lot of people, this anime has it's an anime that people aren't really watch that much. You know, it's not like My Academia or something. Where it's like, oh yeah, cool guy with powers. It's like, it's a romance. No, that's the Water Margin guy and so on. Yeah, oh, it's Hun Chung from Water Margin. I see. Like, no, it's you need to know all that stuff, and it's more realistic, right? To some extent, of course, how they are conducting and so on. It's more. This is a strategy. Otherwise, this is like kids shows now. I think in the bottom here. Sorry if I'm scrolling quickly here. I'm just gonna whatever. We're gonna go back to movies instead. Yeah, sorry if I'm scrolling quickly. I'm just turn it off there, guys. Very briefly, it's like because in the bottom you get a lot of these kids shows, so it's not missing anything. And I say the side of it, guys. Of course, when I do this list, sometimes they don't have every anime. Okay. There's always like 1 or 2 animes that's not on this site, live short. They usually have most animes, but in my experience, it's always like 1 or 2 animes that wasn't appearing. Even like popular animes for some reason. And then it's like, oh yeah, I didn't mention anime. So it's always like one anime you miss out on, but whatever, right? I miss mentioning. But let's go into movies. And then we're gonna iterate, of course. So movies, Spike's Family, also kind of weird. I would say that's very weird to have it here. I mean, there's obviously this season, right? It started airing last week, just before Christmas Eve, right? Called White, and I haven't actually seen it yet because I was very busy with Christmas. I really want to see it though. Yeah, now I was like, what's it? Very busy with Christmas. I really want to see this movie. I should go to the theater to see this movie. Seriously, why haven't I seen this movie for? I did my daughter's movie. I'm traveling a bit, yeah. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna watch this movie. Take my daughter to watch the movie probably, like next week probably. I shouldn't say it here. She might be like, "Daddy," but yeah, I'm gonna do it probably next week then. No promises, but yeah, I should have. But I was thinking about doing it. But you know, it is like I didn't have time last week or beginning this week really. But yeah, definitely watch that like next week. This also aired like a few months ago. Cause this I already, yeah, it's like one of the continuation on obviously. Oh my god, my brain. Bunny Senpai. I mean, I used to have Bunny Senpai here, right? She's over there now, on that wall, and I have a bunny figure over there. So now I'm a very big fan of My Senpai and so on, right? I think this is one of the greatest animes of all time. Obviously, the first 3 episodes are amazing and so on, right? It's an amazing show. Unfortunately, for the last years now, they have made basically like 3 movies. They had the one with the truck scene, right? That was the first. Next one with the sister, yeah, and then this with Mai. So the last, like, I don't know, yeah, 3 years or so, they have made like 1 or 2 movies every year of this anime instead of just making a season 2, right? So it's very unfortunate because this is one of the greatest animes of all time. Bunny Senpai, again, amazing anime, but they basically have made like 3 movies instead of just making, a second season or a second and third season. That being said, though, even at the first 3 episodes of Bunny Senpai could basically be a movie, right? It was like an hour long, longer maybe, and it's like a one contained story, right? I mean, really, the first 3 episodes of legendary, My Daisuke, My Senpai, and so on, could really have been a movie, and I think it's one of the, anime's best 3 episodes, right? Kind of hard to say that way, but yeah, I think it's like one of the best first 3 episodes of anime of all time, right? Bunny Senpai. And then honestly, it only goes downhill from that now, but it's a very good anime. It's one of the best animes ever made, I think. But it obviously is slightly worse, the episode 4 or 5 or whatever. Yeah, the first arc with Mai is still the best arc. And then the first movie, also about Mai, mostly, that's a really good movie. But yeah, I do wish they would make it as an anime normally. But I get it though, because it's based on a light novel, right? More or less, the first like a volume of the light novel, or maybe 2 or whatever, is like a perfectly for like a movie length, right? So I get it, and obviously they also make more money probably doing it like this. But it is a fantastic show, really, and I think that it's unfortunate in a way because I feel this anime no one talks about anymore, right? Like for me, it was again one of the best animes ever aired a few years ago, and I have 2 figures, I have a poster. I used to have it behind me, right, but I moved her early this year because, like, straight up, yeah, I had a My Senpai poster behind me for like 2 years, right, 2-3 years, and I was like, okay, she's been hanging behind me on this wall for way too long now. Gotta shake it up a bit, because I mean, again, I love My Senpai, one of the best written theme cats ever. But I was like, okay, I gotta have a little bit change here. She's been here for like 3 years now, but that's what I mean too, because like 3 years ago, I guess. That I was like, oh yeah, My Senpai behind you, cool guy, there's a cool poster, right? Cool painting, basically. But because this anime only has movies coming out, right, for the last 3 years, like 1 movie per year, it stopped being less popular. People forget about it. The casual fans hasn't heard about it, right? Because they're up to date and so on, right? So if it had a second season, it would be much popular, I feel like it needs to be up in the mainstay, and I have to think about it too that if you live in Japan, it's one thing, because I watch the movies, right? But, if you live in other countries, especially Europe, even more than the USA, and even less Africa and so on, right? But, is that right? It's like you won't probably have the movies, right? Like, I can't even remember any anime movie airing in Sweden as a kid, and still don't really. The only movies you get is basically like the Ghibli movies, right? And I think, like, I think my brother said he watched Your Name, I think, in Swedish theater. So maybe like Your Name, maybe some more like really massive hit, right? But otherwise, yeah, most countries still doesn't get anime movies. So it's unfortunate because Banished is such a good show, and it's like, yeah, because I mean they're still producing, they're making like this like a third or fourth movie now. Yeah, they're still making movies about it. But if it had a new season, it would be, much more popular. But whatever, I'm bitter. There's like a Hayaku, the Hayaku movie basically following where the anime ended. Yeah, like the finals with against their, and then it's yet another. We need to make more Demon Slayer movies, but this is just a remake of the last season. I hate when doing this thing. This is of course how they did last time, right? It's the exact thing they did last time. So I really, really dislike how Demon Slayer is handling its popularity, right? So they're doing now. Exactly how they did last time. So what they're doing is that they're making a movie. This movie won't be a very good movie, as bonus here. This movie is just gonna be the season we ever had, right? So it's a third season, bundled up as a movie. So they're gonna cut away scenes from the first season, right? And then make it into a movie, right? And maybe animate some slightly better. And then of course you're gonna end that movie, so to speak, right? With the first episode of the next season. Which we did last time too, and it's so silly, right? It's so silly. It's just like this is pure greed. This is pure greed, man. The Demon Slayer is pure greed. It should be called, not greed, like money, capitalism Slayer, or something. It's the crazy. Like the movie is basically like 90% the exact same thing we had, and then the very last bit of the movie will be the beginning of next arc, right? So people, they can pay for that, and they can watch episode 1 of the first arc like 3 months before something. And that's what people are paying for mostly, right? Jesus Christ. Or like how they did the reverse strategy a few years ago, right? When they made the train movie, the Mugen, and then they made that into a TV, into the anime. It's like, oh god, they're so greedy. It's like capitalism. But I guess it shouldn't be. Yeah, I don't know. Jesus Christ, man. But yeah, same thing in Hashira training arc. That's gonna be the end of the movie. My god. They're still gonna make millions of this movie though. People are gonna go to this movie and be like, oh my god, it's the best movie ever. And like 99% of the people are only care about this last bit, right? The last bit of the movie. What if they started with this bit if the movie is dead? They can leave after 30 minutes. I can see what I wanted. I go, yeah, I don't care about the rest of the movie. I'm leaving now. Like that would be better, honestly. Baccarina, cool. I was talking about earlier, but yeah, Baccarina. Wait, is that out already? I missed that then. Wait, what? That's out earlier this year. Jesus Christ, this should be last season. Why is this season for? This is December. But yeah, this is Baccarina, which I love Baccarina. One of the best animes ever. But this is announced way earlier, right? So Baccarina, maybe the second movie actually, because it had like an OVA, whatever. Baccarina has 2 seasons, and then they made like a movie continuating on that instead of making similar to Banished. Instead of making a third season, they're making movies now. So it's basically something Banished. They went into doing the movies, still selling the anime. And unfortunately, it probably will go the same route then as Banished, where they're gonna make movies based on novels, right? They keep doing that because it makes more money, but the anime is gonna be less and less, popular because few people actually see it, right? So it'll be sensitive probably, honestly. But honestly, I miss out on it because I know it's having a movie coming, but it's already out then, so I should probably go and watch that if I can. Should have missed on that. Psychopaths and all that. Oh yeah, Slam Dunk. Wait, the first Slam Dunk? This would be like a remake or something. I think we just seen Slam Dunk. It's the OG sport anime basically about playing basketball, but what this thing? It's like a it's a remake then? It's called the first. It sounds like they're just making like a remake, I guess. Second year, yeah. Sounds like it's very popular still, of course. This is just a compilation. Given was an anime a few years ago. It's like a music yaoi anime. Yeah, it's like a sequel to that. A new Gundam? Oh, interesting. New Sailor Moon. This is also like a remake. No, actually, it's the new one. They did me a remake earlier. And this is, of course, like a continuation on... this started to become more popular, right? This is the continuation here. Again, similar, right? Instead of making a season 2, they're making a movie instead. So, becoming more popular. The same moon thing. Same thing there. This thing. This I have no idea what it is. I have no idea what it is. And then a bunch of Kuna and so on. Yeah, kind of same things always, right? But they're becoming more and more popular to do that, right? Where you're taking like a second season into a movie. Same thing with Papa Royale, like and so on. Like I said a few years ago, Demon Slayer popularized that because, you know, capitalism. I'm looking at OVAs. So sometimes in OVAs you will have new animes that are listed here instead of being listed as in. Okay, Daggers to My Heart has an OVA coming. Oh yeah, this one is pretty cool. So this is of course the Oda one. So Monsters. I have the Monster volume of course. So Monsters is definitely gonna check when it comes out then. So Monsters, and I have the volume somewhere over there in my library, in my study, my manga study, right? But basically Monsters, but it actually wasn't called Monster in the manga though, is Oda's first work before he did One Piece, right? So Monsters is this one volume of every chapter is like a different storyline. And one of those storylines was about Ryoma, right? Ryoma the Dragon Slayer. So this movie coming here in January is actually then it's like an animation of that chapter from Monsters. Because Monster actually has a bunch of other storylines too. So there's also a Death Note chapter. But of course Ryoma then, as Oda later made him become a canon character in One Piece, right? And obviously then this takes place, I guess, at Wano, right? Like Wano in the past, right? And the guy, the bad guy, looks somewhat like Mihawk, and obviously Ryoma looks exactly like Sora, right? So this is probably gonna be an interesting short movie, but I would really love if this is an actual movie length. Because like I said, it's only a chapter length, right? Roughly. Slightly longer than a normal chapter. So I'd be very surprised if this movie is an hour plus movie. It should be about 30 minutes of animation. So if they extend it and add all the characters, maybe some more Wano stuff, some more for One Piece, given how it's like the pre-set of Wano, right, with Ryoma, this would be canon, so to speak. So it could be really interesting if Oda does some stuff with that, right? But yeah, I definitely gonna watch this thing. I read the manga, of course, and it's one of the better ones, right? And obviously Ryoma is OG Sora, right? You know, it's also a monk character in another monster chapter. Looks like Zoro as well. If anything, Zoro is probably the most like character drawn by Oda in the beginning because he has like more than two other Zoro lookalike characters, but those two guys are very much are Zoro. So how he wanted to draw Zoro, that was clearly actually I think much more established before like Nami and Luffy and so on. And of course there's another Nami before Nami, right? There's another woman in romance and so on, right? But Zoro is like he's older design than Luffy. But yeah, otherwise it's like Great Pretender. Same thing there, right? Like he talked about. This is like the Great Pretender was a Netflix anime, right? And this is basically the movie of that. Or maybe it's actually two then, because the OVA. Oh yeah, sorry, no, I'm right. No, sorry, I'm wrong. No, it actually is. It's basically Great Pretenders in 2, right? I don't know how many episodes it doesn't say, but this is probably actually just like it's on Netflix, like binge watch it. Yeah, I guess probably, but it probably isn't like a full season though. I would say. This is of course a little bit of like Spin 3. Oh yeah, some Frida OVA stuff. Oh, some Pokemon stuff. Potentially Hokkaido no Brett. Huh. Pretty interesting. Ohara, so it's gonna be some weapon. It'll be interesting actually. Yeah, like a Pokemon movie. That looks actually pretty good. There's a bunch of more stuff. Oh yeah, this thing I actually seen. Yeah, it's like the Pokemon live. It's called the puppet clay figures Pokemon. Yeah, I watched it actually just this week. It's pretty interesting to watch. More Pokemon stuff. Okay, that's it, guys. Hope you liked the video. We're gonna go back just briefly and talk about some of the good stuff. But hope you guys subscribe because I'm excited for next season. And then tomorrow, as I mentioned, I'm planning on doing something similar, right, with video games before New Year's Eve. Probably try to air it earlier, the stream. But I don't know, this will be different because tomorrow is when I have a stream talking about games, right? While gaming or whatever, right?
But it's gonna be very different because obviously with anime it's very easy to say this is my favorite anime, whatever. This is the good stuff, right? Where in video game, like I mentioned earlier, it's like, oh, these games are probably good. But I still do with that. But anyway, briefly then, what are the best animes? Probably Solo Leveling, but I have to say that I am afraid of copyright for that anime. So personally, I might not watch it because, like I said, it's like incredibly common for people to have issue with that anime. So, or the manhwa there. The decent isekai, decent muscular guys. I just want to go back to my gals, right? Actually, I do really like Leg of My Heart, though. It's probably going to be one of the best anime next season. And this is my dark horse, right? And I think I did call it dark horse a few years ago, too. Banished from the Hero Party, because it is a much better anime than it's supposed to be. I don't know. It's just a plot, okay? It actually has cool action scenes and, like, interesting characters. And well-written, like, characters. It actually is quite the dark horse, seriously. I just remember, like, no one else talking about it. Like, I was the only guy being like, hey guys, it is anime. But it is a good show, okay? Jesus Christ. And then we got maybe good isekai. The still good chapters of this anime before it goes terrible. Maybe a good anime. I kind of like Bottom T, it's pretty fun. And then, of course, isekai. There we go. Best anime, of course, is again Happy Gals. Yes, there we go. That's a good anime, guys. No, but seriously, come on. Gyros. Also gonna be the best thing ever. Absolutely right, you know. But all that being said, though, I don't think this season has any like super mega popular animes coming. It's a lot of sequels, like a lot of continuations. On the same time, it's also a lot of returning animes. So what I mean with that is that they're both animes that are, like this last season, for example, what's it called now again? Not MASHLE, but whatever. Like, good example of it. Apothecary Girl. Yeah, Apothecary Girl. So, like 10 of those shows, and another 10 of like returning animes, right? So more than half. I think more than half of the animes coming are some kind of either ongoing shows or sequels, yeah. Very few new animes. This is one of the few new animes right there. Very few new animes. And it's only like one OG anime, Metallic Rogue. So I'm like, oh, this looks pretty cool to be an OG anime. So, not very good on OG stuff at all, like I mentioned earlier. But seriously, this feels like a pretty weak season. I say an end very negative. No, but I do feel it's pretty weak because it's like there is no show except Solo Leveling, which I feel is like, wow, this is gonna be a big hit, right? Where in other seasons, you have like Demon Slayers coming back. You're like, wow, it's gonna be a master hit, Yeah, this season doesn't have any anime, I think, that is like super popular, right? Obviously, we have One Piece, whatever, but I mean like from new shows, yeah, from new shows. So leave a comment below what you guys think. Is the any like mega hit that I haven't talked about? But I don't think so. Solo Leveling is the only one, like I said, like, I can think can be like a massive hit, right? I don't think there are any other one. There's no like, I don't know, but I don't think so. There's no like new show that I think is gonna blow up and break the internet. I don't think so. This show here, seriously, is probably one of the highest chances actually. It's like kind of a Marin Light show, right? Similar high plot and so on. Yeah. I don't know. There's no like mega hit. I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. Gladly, yeah. But I doubt it. But there we go. If the video guys subscribe, so nice. Yeah, it's tomorrow. And then, of course, next week we are gonna watch and react and review to a bunch of these shows, right? We're gonna have maybe like 5 or 6 new animes next week, and then another 40 series from now, right? I don't know. They're probably starting to be released next week, some new animes. That being said, of course, I'm not gonna watch every one or whatever, right? But I tend to do a lot more videos, of course, in the new season, because you have the openings, you have the endings, right? And you have some new premise. So, as usual, I probably make a lot of videos checking out the first episode, right? And then obviously drop them. Yeah, it's terrible. No, but of course, it's interesting. I think always next week and 2 weeks from now are the best weeks being an anime fan, right? Because it's really fun watching the first episode. It's really fun, and it might be terrible, but it might be good, right? And it's fun to see like everything from who's the voice actor of this manga I read, or who is the that thing, or how's the opening gonna look, you know. So I think it's always like, you know, this is the best time to be an anime fan. And then usually it goes, yeah. But then usually it's like, of course, some of the shows are like completely uninteresting. And like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to isekai, right? It's like 20 plus new isekais. 20 means, I don't know. And obviously, because all have so generic premise and the trailers look so generic, isekai is interesting to watch, I feel. Because you really are like, oh, this might be insanely terrible, but it also might be good. So you kind of sit there being like, okay, give it to me, anime. see what happens. Yeah, you kind of have this like, it's a very like, you just know the premise. Like, okay, he's reincarnated. He has a very terrible power, but the power is actually OP. And he's obviously gonna be OP. What's gonna happen? like maybe it's good rating. And you're excitingly watching it, being like, okay, let's see what happens. Something like that. Yeah, but you guys have a great day, and of course have